Hello and welcome to this video. My name is Miriam and I love everything about books. In today's video I'm going to show you my May TBR. I was gonna say March TBR, I don't know where that came from. Anyway, my May TBR. For those of you who don't know yet, I challenged myself to read 365 books in 2021. And in a previous video, my April TBR, I told you how I put my TBR together. And now I made, with the same system, I made my May TBR. I picked out 20 books or series. So I believe there are like 3 series amongst them. And usually I read series in order. But sometimes I add some books to my TBR. Actually, this is not... there is actually one book that's going to be added. I don't know what that book is going to be yet, because I'm going to do a buddy read with a friend. We have a podcast. Unfortunately, it's only in Dutch. But in this podcast, we sometimes do a buddy read. So we read the same book and then we talk about it in an episode of our podcast. And we have not yet decided, when I'm filming this, what that book is going to be. Anyway, I picked out 20 other books. As you know, May consists of 31 days. So I have some room to add a few books if I like. Just like last month, first I'm going to show you the books that are originally Dutch, and I'm going to read in Dutch, obviously. Then I will show you the books that are originally in English, and I will read in Dutch. I think most of those books are in English. And last but not least, I'm showing you the books that are in English and I will read in English as well. So the first are actually 2 non-fiction books. They are both in Dutch. And the first one is Verlangen naar Vrijheid. Can be translated as Longing for Freedom. Every month I join the Leeslievelings challenge, and the prompt for May is read a non-fiction book by a female author. And I picked Verlangen naar Vrijheid because it was written by a woman. But it was actually co-written, so a man also wrote it. But I hope that's alright, and if not, I will look for another non-fiction book, but I really want to read this one. The other non-fiction book is written by a man. It's called Grip. And it's about work and how you can be more productive and have a great life. I believe something like that. And with your job, how you can be productive and stuff like that. How you can be in control of your situation, I think. The third original Dutch book I'm going to read is Spalling in the Duiventil, which is the 4th book in the Duiventil series, which I have told you about in previous videos. If you don't know, this is a series I'm rereading. It consists of 9 books, and every month I read 1 book of this series. So those were the original Dutch books. Now I'm showing you a book that I'm going to read in Dutch and was originally written in Afrikaans, so the language they speak in South Africa, which looks a lot like Dutch. So that's why I'm showing you this one first before I continue with my other translated books. It's called Tolbos. I have no idea how to translate it into English. A lot of the translated books are ebooks, but there's one other physical book, and that's Inferno by Dan Brown. I believe the English title is the same, and this is actually a reread for me. It was on my March TBR, but I did not get to it, and I decided first I wanted to read it in April, but then I had quite a few rereads in April, at the beginning of April, so I decided I would move this one over to May. So now it's on my May TBR, so I really have to read it. I already read it, and the first time I read this I borrowed the book from the library, and then I got a second-hand edition myself, because I really like this book by Dan Brown. I have not read any other books by him. Let me know in a comment if you think I should read another book by Dan Brown. But I remember I borrowed it from the library, and I had to go to Cambridge with school because we had some things. And I distinctly remember now what the day I finished it. Because we were in Cambridge at the end of April, beginning of May, and on On the 27th of April we were in Cambridge. I think it was a Tuesday, and that was King's Day. We followed some English training over there, and because we were Dutchies, we had the 27th of April, we had the afternoon off because it was King's Day, and obviously we did not celebrate anything. I went to the Cambridge library and I read my book. I think it was really funny because I was reading a Dutch book in an English library and I really enjoyed it. So hopefully if I read this again, I will think of that time. At least I did it now, I told you about it, so that's really great. If a book brings you back some memories, and yeah, I really love that. The next book on my list is Angel Falls by Kristen Hanna. If you've been following me a bit longer, you know that almost every month I read a book by Kristen Hanna, and actually the book I read in March was a bit of a... I did not really like that book. And to be honest, I have not read the book that is on my TBR for April, so I don't know what I think about that book. I'm just curious to see if Angel Falls can touch my heart like The Nightingale did. Because I got this TBR jar I told you about in my previous TBR video. I got some notes out of it, and quite a lot of the titles I had no idea what that book was, so I was surprised with all the notes I got out of my jar. So I don't know what these books are about, but I think they must be very interesting. The next book was a book I did not know it was in a jar. It's The Myth of Perpetual Summer. I don't know how to pronounce that word, sorry. It's written by Susan Crandall. I've never read a book by her, but I've heard good stories about this book. I think that's why I put it in my TBR jar. And the next book is a book by Karen Kingsbury. I'm not really into her books, but I used to be a massive fan. I used to read all of her books, but then I sort of let go of that, and now she's definitely not my favourite author anymore. I'm sorry, but I am going to read When We Were Young by her because I just want to know how these characters will live on. The next book on the list is Free For All by Kristen Heitzman. I've read several of her books and I usually enjoy them. And the funny thing is about this book, the Dutch translation is Vrije Val, and that's actually the name of the fourth book I wrote myself. It's also Vrije Val. And the next book on the list is Truly Madly Guilty by Liam Moriarty. Just like with the books with Kristen Hanna, I read a book by Liam Moriarty every month, and I really enjoy her books and I can't wait to get into this. Next on my list is a duology. I've heard a lot of stories about it. I don't know what I will think about it. It's the Shadow and Bone book by Leigh Bardugo, and the sequel, I can't remember the sequel, but I distinctly remember it was a duology, so I will read those books. And next I'm going to give Marcus Zusak another shot. The first book by Marcus Zusak I read was The Book Thief, and then I read Bridge of Clay, which was sort of okay, and then I read When Dogs Cry by Marcus Zusak, and I was so disappointed in that book. It was so bad. And now I got The Messenger out of the TBR jar, and at first I was like, no, I'm not going to read that, but I am going to give him another shot because I also read some great stories about The Messenger, that it is a great book. The next book, that's actually already number 13 or 14 on the list, is Words Unspoken by Elizabeth Musser. Once again, I do not really know what the book is about, but I like the author, so I will probably like this book. I keep saying the next book a lot, but yeah, that sort of happens in a TBR video. But the next book is actually a trilogy, the Intervention trilogy by Terry Blackstock. Once again, a series I do not really know much about, but I do know the author, so I want to read the book. And the last book I'm going to mention the English title, but I will read in Dutch, is The Memory House by Rachel Hawke. I heard quite a lot of great stories about this book. I read some other books by Rachel Hawke which I liked, so I think I will like this book as well. And now for the English books. The Humans by Matt Haig. This was actually a funny story. I had not picked any notes yet, but I wrote down that I wanted to read this book in May, and I got the note out of it, out of the TBR jar as well, so yeah, I can read The Humans legally, sort of. Now, it's not like it's illegal to read books because I'm quite flexible with my TBR jar and the books I have to read. I read The Midnight Library and I really enjoyed that one. I read Reasons to Stay Alive by Matt Haig. That was his non-fiction book. I really liked that one as well. And I'm really curious about this book. The cover is so cute with a dog on top of the world. If I didn't know the author, I would want to read this book just for its cover, I think. The same can actually be said for this book, More Than We Can Tell by Bridget Kammerer. I have read a book by her. I've read Letters to the Lost and that was a really great book. I haven't got a clue what's it about, but I think I will like it. I just realized that I said that the next book on my list, like, this is definitely not the order in which I'm going to read the books, but I don't know, it's just, it seems alright to say that. So the next book on the list is A Day That Changed Everything by Beth Moran. I don't know what this book is about, but I heard some great stories about this author. I have not read a book by her as well. So, yeah, I'm probably going to be surprised. And the next book is The Atonement Child by Francine Rivers. I've read this book before, but in Dutch. The English version was available on Kobo Plus, so I'm really excited about it. I remember that this is a really great book. And now I'm going to read it in its original language, so that's even better. And the last books on my list, it's another series, are books from the Deep Haven series by Susan May Warren. I got like these collections on my Kobo read, so book 4, 5 and 6 in this series, and I'm really excited about those books because I really love Deep Haven. I've read quite a lot of books that take place there. I've read the Christensen series and I read the first 3 books in the Deep Haven series, so in May I'm going to read the next 3 books in this series. There are quite a lot of books. I think in total it's like 25, 26, something like that. And there's another book's going to be added, like I said at the beginning of this video, so I'm really curious if I get to all these books, and or if I will pick some other books as well, because I occasionally do that. I have not picked an audiobook yet for May. Because I don't know about the Seven Sisters series, I want to continue it, but on the other hand I'm a bit fed up with it, so I'll see about that. I hope you like this video, and please let me know what books are in your TBR for May. If you want to follow me on the journey where I read 365 books, if you want to see the books I'm going to read in May, whether I'll stick to my TBR or if I will read entirely different books, then subscribe to my channel. And as always, happy reading!